Hey guys, this is Steven here with another video on how to play some of my favorite puzzles. This one is on Killer Sudokus. This game is a cross between regular Sudoku and Kukuros. So if you like either of those kinds of puzzles, you'll definitely enjoy this one. Because it's a hybrid of the two kinds of puzzles, if you're familiar with them already, then these rules shouldn't be too difficult to grasp. And if you haven't learned how to play regular Sudoku or regular Kukuro, I'd recommend learning those individually first. So just like in regular Sudoku, every row, column, and 3x3 box must contain the digits 1 through 9 without repeating. And just like in Kukuros, there are subsections that have sums. The numbers within those cells must add up to the indicated clue and not repeat. So for instance here, we see two cells that must add up to 8. So it could be like a 5 and a 3, it could be 2 and 6, or it could be a 1 and 7. And our job is to figure out what those numbers are. So you could see these subsections here. And that is in addition to the already 3x3 subsection that's in regular Sudokus. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to try to solve this puzzle and share with you just some common tips and tricks that I use to get these solved. So luckily here we're already given some clues, which is not always the case in these. And these are freebies. We know a 7 plus a 2 equals 9. We know 8 plus 5 is 13. And here a 7 and a 3 must equal 10. And then here we see a 6 and a cell must total 14, so that's got to be an 8. So those are easy, good place to start since they're free clues. But after that, what I would look for is any cells that are very large or very small, because then the number of possible outcomes are going to be limited. So the smallest one, for instance, is this 3. We know there's only a 1 and a 2 that can go in there. There's no other digits that can add up to 3 other than the two smallest numbers. And then the same can be said about this 17. As it being the largest, it's got to be a 9 and an 8. So that is a good start with those. Now, going along those lines, what you can do is you can try to figure out what all the possible combinations are. And a lot of times there's going to be more than one combination. And you can use logic to figure out the rest. So this is an easy example, 16. You could add 8 plus 8 and get 16. But you can't have two 8s in a subcell like that. You can't have two 8s in a column either. So that doesn't work, but a 7 and a 9 would. And then knowing with the Sudoku rules, we can't have two 7s in a row. And we already have a 7 in this third row over here to the left. So this cell must be a 9. And that cell must be a 7. And you can use, the Sudoku scanning techniques where you can see there's already a 7 in the second row and the third row. There must be a 7 in one of these three cells here, because you can't have a 7 in this 3x3 box. You can't have a 7 in this 3x3 box because there's already a 7 there. So we know one of these two cells must be a 7. We don't know which one, but one of those is going to be a 7. And then from there, we can figure out the math on this. So if we take 11 minus 7, because we know there's going to be a 7 there somewhere, we get a 4. And with a 4, you can do 2 plus 2, but that doesn't work because you can't have two numbers in the same cell that repeat. So 2 and 2 doesn't work, but 1 and 3 would. So 7 plus 1 plus 3 would be 11. And if we look, we can't have a 1 in either of these because there's already a 1 that's going to be in one of those. Right? Hopefully you can see the blue indicator. So since a 1 has to be in one of these three but can't be in these two, the 1 has to go down there. And then we know a 3 must be up here along with the 7. So that's helpful. And then from there, we can figure out probably the rest of this row. And so if we look at the 9, look at all the possible combinations that could add up to a 9. You could do a 1 and an 8, but that doesn't work because it's, again, you already got the 1 spoken for in that row, so a 1 and an 8 wouldn't work. You can do a 2 and a 7, but there's already a 7 in that 3 by 3 box, and there's already a 2 in that row, so 2 7 doesn't work. You could do 3 6, but there's already a 3 that's going to be spoken for in that row, so that doesn't work. So that leaves us with just a 4 and a 5. So we can indicate 4 and a 5 there. And then we look at these last two, we're missing a 6, 8, and a 9, because again, we're not sure which one. This might be an 8 or a 9. So we look here, it could be 6, 8, or 9, but we notice there's already a 9 in that 3 by 3 box, so that means it could only be a 6 and an 8. And because a 9 can't be in those boxes, the 9 must be over here. And now we know 9 plus 8 is 17. And then so here, if we look at these 3 cells, they have to total 19. Well, that's easy because 8 plus 6 is 14. And then so we're missing a 5 to total 19. Okay. And then we can go and move on and do the same method now for probably this one. So it's helpful when you have cells that go horizontal and you already have a lot of numbers that are horizontal. So it's going to be a lot easier to solve for this 11 than say this 10, because this 10 is going vertical and we don't have a lot of numbers in that column. So when we have a lot of numbers, we try to stay in the same direction. So here I'm going to solve this one rather than this 15 or 10. I'm going to try to solve for this 11. So with the 11, you can't have a 1. That 1 and 10 doesn't work. 2 and 9 probably works. There's no 2s or 9s. So we could maybe do a 2 and a 9. Could we do a 3 and an 8? We can't do a 3 because there's already a 3 in that box. 4 and a 7. Well, we can't do the 7 because it's already in that box. And 5 and 6. Well, we can't do that combo because of the 6. So we're left with just a 2 and a 9 in that box, which is really helpful because if you think about it, so we know there's going to be a 2 in one of these, and that makes this one impossible to be a 2. So that has to be a 1, and that can be a 2. And usually I'll only write pencil marks in if I know there's only 2 possibilities. Because if it gets more than that, it starts to get a little messy. So I try to limit my pencil marks for that. And then this brings me to my next tip, where just like in Sudokus, if you can look for rows, columns, or 3 by 3s that have limited possibilities, like in this instance, there's only 2 digits missing in this row, this second row. Now, we can probably figure that one out. If we look, we're missing, so we have a 1. One of these is going to be a 2, 3. We're missing a 4. There's our 5, and we're missing a 6. So this cell is either going to be a 4 or 6, and this cell is going to be a 4 or a 6. But then if we look up here, we know 6 is already going to be in this 3 by 3 box. So actually that can't be a 6. That's going to have to be a 4, and that'll have to be a 6. So you can see how it comes together pretty nicely. So from there, what I can do is look at these 3 cells. Now normally in a regular Sudoku, I would really only look for possibilities that are 2 or fewer. But this is nice because with Killer Sudokus, you have extra clues with the sums. So what we can do, we can put in all the numbers we're missing in this 3 by 3 box. So we have a 1, we're missing a 2, we have a 3 up here, we're missing a 4, and we're missing a 5. Because we're going to have a 6, 7 is going to be one of these, 8, 9. So we're missing a 5. So 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5, and 2, 4, 5 in that bottom row. Now we can do the math on this one by looking at our possibilities. So right here, 15 minus 6 is 9. So these two numbers must total 9. Well, you're not going to get there with a 2. So you know the 2 has to be over here, leaving the 4 and the 5 to add up to 9. That'll solve this box, which is really helpful. And now we can continue. Here we're just missing one digit in this 3 by 3. We know there's going to be a 1, 2 is going to be one of these, 3, 4, and 5 are going to be there, 6, 7, and 9s are there, so we're missing an 8. So an 8 can go there. And then when we look at these two, we're missing a 1 in that row. Here's our 2. And we're missing a 3, because you'll see 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're missing a 3 and a 1. So we can put 1, 3, and 1, 3 there, just like that. And then we can kind of go from there. So this clue, if we look at the possibilities, we could do 4 plus 3 would be 7, and you would need another 3, right? 7 plus 3 is 10, but you can't have two 3s. So this has to be a 1. And then we could do the math on that. 4 plus 1 is 5. We're going to need a 5 there for the 10. And now this must be a 3 because that's the only digit missing in that row. That's a 3. And now we're going to need these two to add up to 5 because we have 8 in these 3. That's the sum. And so we do 8 minus 3. These two must equal 5. And so it could either be a 2 and a 3, like that. And we know that this one actually can't be a 3 because the 3 above it. And because that's a 2, this must be a 3. But can it also be a 4 and a 1? I think it might be able to. So you can see here it might get a little messy. So let me come back to that a little bit later and see if we can solve elsewhere. And so, and that's just how you go about it. So I'm not going to finish this just for the sake of time. I'm already running over 10 minutes, so I don't want to bore you guys to death. I think you get the gist of it. Again, it's just like a regular Sudoku with a Kokoro twist to it. I like it. I don't normally enjoy doing Kokoros by themselves, but when you mix it with the Sudoku style, I think it's a lot of fun. If you haven't given it a shot and you're bored of doing the regular Sudokus, I would definitely recommend it. I think it can be definitely a challenge. Some of the easier ones, if you're used to doing Sudokus often or Kenkens, they're not going to be too tough, but they can definitely get challenging because I've seen them with no clues given at the start, with no starting digits. So you just have to start from scratch. And anyways, hope you guys enjoy what you saw here, and hit that thumbs up button and subscribe for more videos in the future. Thanks everyone. Have a good day.